Hello everyone. Unfortunately, there is very little biographical information and videos about this athlete on the web, although he is one of the most harmoniously built bodybuilders in history. And the heroes of our today's issue, Orville Burke, once said that he was a real genetic unique, surpassing even the 8-time Mr. Olympia title holder Ronnie Coleman in size and shape. He was even called a clone of the great Ronnie. Burke's shoulder girdle to waist ratio is recognized by many experts as perhaps the best among all bodybuilders of his era. In general, he was remembered by the audience and all fans of iron sports as one of the most harmoniously built athletes in the history of bodybuilding. At the same time, the athlete remained in the shadows for a long time and could not get a pro card. And after switching to the pro category and participating in several competitions, he completely disappeared from view. Burke is also famous for working as a security guard for President Trump. But let's talk about everything in order. Our hero was born in Jamaica on March 18, 1963. Even as a child, Orville developed an interest in physical exercise. As a child, Burke was a skinny kid with a very weak back. And to strengthen his back muscles, he began to train. As motivation, I competed with my friends in pull-ups after graduation. As the athlete himself recalled in one of the few interviews, every day after school, they ordinary Jamaican boys pulled themselves up on the crossbar and revealed the strongest. Sometimes it stretched for a long time. After several months of continuous pull-ups, the young Orville began to form a prominent V-shaped torso, which made him famous in the future. Then the aspiring athlete moved to the USA and bodybuilding became an integral part of his life. One of Burke's idols was, as you might guess, Arnold Schwarzenegger. In the late 80s, Orville began trying to perform on stage. At first, he participated in amateur tournaments, about which there was not even any information left. The athlete was still very far from the pro card then. Orville received it only in 1998, winning the US Heavyweight Championship. However, everything has its reasons. In the late 80s and early 90s, as I said at the beginning of the video, Burke worked in Trump's personal security detail. So, he didn't have enough time for intensive training. Later, Orville would often be compared to Ronnie Coleman. Both of them were still unknown to anyone in the early 90s. However, the year Coleman took the Mr. Olympia title, Burke had just turned professional. At the time of receiving the long-awaited pro athlete status, he was already 35 years old. From 1999 to 2002, Burke participated in 10 professional competitions. In 1999, he entered his first professional tournament, the Night of Champions, and became 10th. Then another giant, Paul Dillett, took the first place. The following year, 2000, he rose to the competitive stage 5 times. He takes third place at the Toronto-Montreal Pro Tournament, losing to Marcus Rule and Dexter Jackson. He also became the third at the 2000 World Pro Championship in San Marino, following Ronnie Coleman and Jay Cutler. In addition, he stops a step away from the podium, taking 4th place at the Night of Champions, bypassing Lee Priest himself and Dexter Jackson, to whom he lost in Canada a few months ago. At that Night of Champions, future Mr. Olympia Jay Cutler takes his first pro title, while 2 monsters of the masses, Marcus Rule and Paul Dillett, become the second and third. Before the main start of his career, the Mr. Olympia tournament, Burke drives to Albion, where he becomes 6th at the British Grand Prix less than a month before the Olympia. Ronnie Coleman takes the first place, leaving no chance for anyone. And if Burke was still able to climb into the top 6 at the British Grand Prix, because guys like Kevin Levrone, Flex Wheeler, Sean Ray, Nasser El Sambadi, and Lee Priest chose to ignore him on the eve of the main start of the year. Then of course they came to Olympia 2000, and the competition was already set such that all this honest company entered the top 6. The great Ronnie Coleman took the lead then. Marcus Rule became the 7th, Jay Cutler the 8th, Dexter Jackson the 9th. Orville Burke was able to take only the 10th place. Next year, our hero trains even more, improves his form, and as a result wins the Toronto-Montreal tournament and the Night of Champions, both times beating Dexter Jackson by a step. Everyone knows about Orville's strong side, his amazing back. The athlete's huge back was one of the widest in the history of bodybuilding. Burke was called wide as a house and was nicknamed the walking eclipse. And the ratio of his waist to shoulder width has never been surpassed in bodybuilding until today. But Burke certainly had weaknesses. For example, he has never been able to boast that he keeps his abdominal muscles under control. However, it was simply impossible not to pay attention to Burke because of his huge bulk. There are only a few bits of information about his training, which he shared about training were devoted to working out his back. I train back before traps once every 5 days. My credo is that if you're not rowing, and I mean with a barbell, a T-bar, or a dumbbell, then you're not building your back. I don't do chins anymore, but they were the key to my back width. Deadlifts put the final touches on back thickness, so I do them last. On October 27th, 2001, Orville flew to Las Vegas to perform at his second Olympia. He enters the stage with the firm intention of making at least the top 6. And he succeeds. Burke is the 6th in the company of Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, Kevin Levrone, Sean Ray, and Chris Cormier. There are 15 more top builders behind, including Nasser El Sambadi, Dexter Jackson, Vince Taylor, Marcus Rule. However, unfortunately, our hero's professional career ended there. The following year, in 2002, he became the 9th at the Olympia, and then at one of the photo shoots of Flex magazine, Burke suffered a triceps injury. The damage was so severe that surgery was necessary. During the operation, a complication of asthma occurred, from which the athlete suffered chronically. This led to terrible consequences. Orville fell into a coma. For a long time, he fought for life, and fortunately came out of it. However, continuing his sports career was out of the question. There's been a lot of speculation and rumors about this incident. The champion was accused of drug abuse. They said that his organs began to fail in a coma. Fortunately, none of this is true. Recovery was slow. Orville later told, "The near-death experience was a deeply spiritual event. I was talking to the Lord. I have always been religious, and this experience has strengthened my faith that since 2007, Orville Burke and his wife Christina have been living in Sweden. Bodybuilding was out of the question after the experience, but Orville attends tournaments as a spectator. So in 2011, at the fitness festival, Orville Burke met with Sean Ray. Sean wrote on the forum, "I met the former IF Pro Orville Burke here. He lives here. He spoke well and meaningfully, but I won't give his contact information. Orville Burke was a talented bodybuilder. He was predicted to have a bright future in professional sports. However, the accident dashed all the hopes of the athlete. Despite such a short career, the athlete managed to write his name in the history of bodybuilding." Orville is now 62 years old. Do you consider Burke to be a double of Ronnie Coleman, and would he have had a chance of winning the Olympia if not for his injury? As always, I'll be grateful for your support. It helps in the development of the channel. Do not forget to click on the bell so as not to miss the new issue. Thanks for watching Sports Guru with you. See you later.